Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. And yeah, this has been quite an interesting week actually. Not very warm because it's winter, but that's beside the point. So I might as well get straight into it since I have already got my thoughts somewhat collected. I don't want to ramble for too long. I will, however, cross the road because there are people coming along this pathway. Okay, so as I was saying, even though it's been an interesting week, it didn't actually start off that well for me. In fact, it started off horribly. I had an essay submission for which I was prepared, except for a couple of things like putting in my final references and such, and a few of the citations at the same time. I thought, you know what? I've got the bulk of the essay right here. I'm just going to spell check it, mostly in the morning, because I did some spell checking beforehand. I'm going to do another spell check, that is to say, in the morning. And then I'll do the rest of the citations that I am missing, and I'll update the bibliography accordingly and such. You know, all that's fun stuff that, you know, you get to do at university, just to polish things off and, you know, make sure that it's acceptable via the marking scheme. However, Microsoft Word decided that it was going to be at that precise day, on that precise moment, where it would decide to not recognize any of the sources that I had previously inserted, or any new ones that I was going to insert, and that I had actually saved the night before. Which of course meant that I was in a mad panic for a couple of hours trying to solve this issue, which turns out was solved by leaving it for a few minutes, which I didn't even have time to do in the first place anyway, and turning the application back on again. Yes, the IT crowd method would have worked for my essay submission. That was pretty bad. So yeah, needless to say, I had two late submissions. One that was a few minutes late because I was so panicked I wanted to make sure it was okay that I wanted to make sure I was delivering a finished product at the very least. So I tried to refresh and save all the different versions that I could. And then that came in like a couple of minutes later, I think. Or was it like 5? I'm not sure. I've blocked it out my memory for obvious reasons. Then the other one came from when the problem got solved, and I submitted it again in its proper format. The tutor was actually quite understanding. She sent me an email again saying that because people are away from the usual software and such, and they don't have access to Canvas or the library or all those other things, that they're much more lenient this time about this kind of thing. Otherwise, my mum predicted that it might have been costing me a 20% marking grade or something. Which, I mean, to be honest, at that point I wasn't even thinking about the grade. I just wanted to get this thing in. I'm always one that is not good with not very graceful after a deadline or something. That applies everywhere, actually. To be honest, like even on YouTube. Because remember when the Mutant Girl had a monthly release time? Actually, most of you nowadays have subscribed after that point, so the Mutant Girl was already like a year old by that point. But still, for the people that remember that stuff and remember what I was like during those Walking Wednesdays, actually, when I was documenting that process, you will remember that I was very, very panicked about, you know, and very stressed about submitting a Mutant Girl video every 17th of every month. Which, of course, you know, if I know my efficient method of gotcha production now, I could have done that, but still. If you're wondering how episodes 7 and 8 are going, I'm waiting on voice actor submissions. That hasn't changed. That still takes forever. But at least the actual filming process is alright. So yeah, I look forward to that at some point. But yeah, my point of that was that, yeah, I'm always paranoid about deadlines. In fact, New Year's Eve 2019, again, was something that I was really stressed about because I had not only the Mutant Girl Season 1 to finish off before the end of the year, but also Final Countdown 6. In this instance, this new year, well, this whole month of December, actually, 2020, I actually was stressed about other things, because I'd left so much until this moment that I haven't yet submitted, which leads me to a few other problems that I've had, actually, that I need to address, but everything in order. So yeah, needless to say, if that's the stuff that I'm doing on my own time, and I'm stressed about deadlines that I impose upon myself, then you can imagine what deadlines imposed by others would be like. Which I think is actually the reason that I was not very cordial with people who were saying, "Oh yeah, you need to post this siren story before the end of the year." And I was like, "No, I don't. That's not on my list." And amongst other things as well, like for example, I want to make sure that this is all ready by this date or something like that, so it doesn't get a late submission. Well, you and me both, person I'm not going to name, but it's pretty obvious who it is. Which actually leads me gracefully onto Minecraft Adventures, because lots happened there. Obviously, Aiden is still carrying on his upload schedule, which is honestly starting to resemble Aphmau in Minecraft Diaries, in the sense of this is the story we're going to do for now. Let's plot the basics and go from there, kind of thing. Which is actually kind of interesting to think about. Except, of course, his is on multiplayer and such. But yeah, in terms of release times, it's definitely on a Diaries-esque schedule of every 2 days or so. Which, of course, I'm not really able to keep up with in general. Until perhaps now, because Ghosty has actually gracefully offered to help with the editing process of some of the Minecraft Adventures videos. Well, in fact, one of them, not some of them, one of them. Episode 10. So yeah, next one's episode 10. That's going to be delivered. And I do trust her to actually deliver it on time, because, well, A, she's in the series, so she's got investment there, and B, because she's edited stuff for Aiden before, and clearly that's worked, and C, because she's really committed, actually. I mean, it was her idea to use Aiden's audio because of my failures to record decent audio for myself, and to actually make that, and to actually, well, make it any way distinguishable. So yeah, speaking of Ghosty, actually, I believe it was still this week that I was talking to her mainly about what was it? Mainly about Minecraft Adventures. Sorry, yeah, and because we went through and we actually started reacting to many of the most important episodes of that series. So, but other than that, the one other thing we talked about actually was Code Lyoko, which, just saying that, instantly makes me smile somewhat, because I haven't talked about this, but everyone knows that my favourite show in history is My Street. But my favourite show historically was Code Lyoko. Yeah, that was really much so a defining point of my childhood in Spain, was that series. Pretty much all the way through, actually, because obviously I had a couple of reruns and such before, that's while I was there. In fact, actually, technically speaking, we arrived after the original series had just finished and was doing its first rerun, so even then. But yeah, well, actually most of the part, we arrived and episode 17 was airing, or something. I'm trying to think. Well, think about it that way, that was January 2007, and the series ended in 2007, so was it early January that it ended? I'll have to check. Who knows? Maybe it was still updating at the time. Not that I cared, I was 7 years old, it's not... Oh, 2008, sorry, we're over 2008, so yeah, it would have finished. Yeah, never mind. I keep forgetting, because normally I go by my birthday, but my birthday's in February, so I have to add a year on anyway. Well, either way, so what was I saying? Oh yeah. So yeah, needless to say, I haven't actually, since I left Spain in 2012, I have not met a fresh fan of the series in almost 9 years. Which is to say a lot, you know. That's almost a decade without feeding a fresh fan and not talking about this thing. I mean, honestly, that's the reason I haven't talked about it in general on here, because obviously, in terms of channel submissions, I've got a lot of things that I'm doing. I don't quite know. And yeah, I'm trying to streamline what it is that I'm doing to an extent. Like I said, those are my plans for 2020. But who knows, at some point I want to talk about Spanish dubs of things. And Code Lyoko is definitely on my list for that. Because I haven't watched a single episode in English, even to this day. So that would be very interesting to experience for the first time. Because Ghosty said at some point we're going to watch that. And in fact, at one point I have to read some fanfics of hers, because she mentioned that. I'd show her my fanfics, of course, but, you know, they're in Spanish. I wouldn't be that unfair. Hold on, I might have a tight spot here. There we go. Alright, there we are, solved. So yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah. That's, but yeah, something to do with, like, you know, Spanish existence and such. That will come later. For now, in terms of Minecraft Adventures itself, back onto the series in question. Actually, I've only got 3 more episodes to go. So there's episode 10 that Ghosty has, episode 11, which is actually finished and rendered with Aiden's audio, and episode 12, which I'm gonna, you know, hopefully edit today, but chances are it won't be out for a couple of days or so. Because you know me, if I have several videos at once, I'm not gonna usually publish them on the same day. I'm pretty sure I figured out my peak time when most people watch my videos, which is why, you know, the same time that an AFMAL stream would take place. So actually, I've got quite a few videos ready for the next one. There's Pixelmon episode 38. Sorry, Pixelmon Generations Adventures episode 38. And then there is, I'm just going to go down here. Yeah. So and then there is the 3 Minecraft Adventures. And then also Aiden has sent me a movie edit that he has done of Through Her Eyes. So that will be coming out at some point, which is a pretty exciting concept. I mean, obviously it's 3 episodes. I normally do that kind of thing around the anniversary time, but considering it's a mini-series and the main focus of an anniversary is obviously on the main show of the Mutant Girl itself, I think I'm gonna do him this grace and publish what he's made. Once again, he's as altruistic in real life as he is in his Minecraft Adventures counterpart, which is honestly brilliant. So yeah, those are my next 5 videos, I think, after this one, plus the stream. So needless to say, I've got myself covered for some time on here. I'll go back to the Butter Bunch actually, because things on there have somewhat stagnated since the opening of What If Raditz and Nappa Turned Good. But don't worry, because Nappa, his part has already been written, so I can just easily go back and record that, which will be wonderful. I have to bear in mind the comments that I've received as well. But yeah, other than that, maybe I'll get down to doing new Minecraft Adventures sometime this week. I'm not sure. I mean, to be honest, I've got plans actually for even Caroline to join in, because that's right, Caroline has returned. after such a long time. She's actually not only back in the Mutant Girl, but not as Agatha, because that wouldn't be fair. So she's not only back in the Mutant Girl, but also has offered to be in Minecraft Adventures, because I have an interesting idea for a part that she could play, which will help me out immensely, actually. And let's face it, if Aiden has 4 people now on his adventure, then, you know, we could at least do with a 3rd member, I suppose. Which kind of brings into question BB and his plans for that, because I'm essentially setting a new character in the midst of things, and he already has a bunch of story elements planned. But here's the thing, actually. A, the original Minecraft Adventures wasn't meant to plan stories that became the thing later, and B, he planned stories without actually telling us what was happening, and so without actually catching up on my perspective to know what was going on anyway. So needless to say, that's not really fair on anyone. So quite frankly, if he has to rewrite his plans, then so be it. That's on him. Because for once, I actually have certain in-character story elements that I might want to introduce. And not only that, but I also realised that Aiden hasn't stopped breaking the 4th wall, which means that I don't have to. So most of my concerns about Minecraft Adventures are subsided. My only question now is time structure. Because obviously I've been off the radar for such a long time, relatively speaking to Aiden's series, that I have to have some sort of reason behind my new appearance, and Emma's new appearance, obviously, by proxy. But I think we'll deal with that as it comes. It's not like we're going to immediately come back and start crossing over with Aiden, because honestly, I don't think that would be a fair thing to do, considering that we've achieved nothing since our departure in 2020. One thing I will say, actually, Pixelmon, there's a bit of an issue there. Episode 38 is fine, but pretty much episodes 39 through possibly 60, or I don't know, 50 something, are not actually available to me, because even though I put them on an expansion drive that has, you know, all of my retro reconstructions on there, as the place that I was informed would be safest, that expansion drive has stopped working. Well, it hasn't stopped working, but it's still got everything stored on it. It's just that the cable itself, which is attached to the expansion drive, is now no longer actually functioning the way that it used to. And it's come out and it's a bit wonky. You have to put it in a certain angle in order for it to be recognized by the system. You have to keep your hand pressed there for ages, which would have taken 4 hours if it actually managed to have that much willpower. I didn't realise that I put Pixelmon on there, actually. So I don't know, I'm going to have to ask for some help on that. But yeah, I hope to actually solve that before April, because again, April is Pixel Month. Another deadline that I have to worry about, which brings the whole video full circle, which means that it's time to wrap up. So please leave a like or dislike, because your opinion matters. Be sure to subscribe, and on that note, until next time, farewell.